Hello, and welcome to another retro video game stream on original hardware. Tonight we're going to be playing Missile Command, which is an Atari classic on Atari 8-bit home computers. It's also on the 2600, ported to a variety of systems later on. I've played the arcade game. I didn't play it very much as a kid. But I did play it, and I think the reason why I liked this game so much was it was one of my dad's favorite games. And he tells a story about when this game came out in the arcades. My dad and my uncle liked it so much that they actually drove around looking for places that had a cabinet because people were playing it and they didn't want to wait in line. Which is sort of strange to think of. But arcade games were so popular at various times, it was hard to find them and hard to find ones that you could play. And for my dad, Missile Command was an immediate hit for him. He loved it. And as a child, we had Missile Command on the Atari 8-bit computer, and I remember liking it, but I didn't love it like my dad did. I didn't realize that the game in the arcade had a trackball, and the trackball makes Missile Command unique, in my opinion. I think that playing it with the trackball allows you to, kind of spin the cursor around the screen much more easily, and target things with your missiles in a way that you can't do with the joystick. Now, the joystick's fine. Play it with the joystick lots of times. Really enjoy Missile Command as it is with the joystick. But if you really want to play Missile Command as it was intended, you kind of need to play it with a trackball. Now, Atari released two different trackballs. This is the CX80 Trak-ball, which is the later released trackball. We never had a trackball, and I sort of understand why. The trackball only works natively with two games, Missile Command and Millipede. And it works as a joystick. It has a little switch on it that you can switch here that lets you switch it between joystick and trackball mode. And from what I've read, the reason why there wasn't support necessarily for the trackball natively is it requires more memory and CPU of some variety to process the trackball input compared to the joystick. So, also, I'm not sure how many trackball games there really are. There's Centipede, Missile Command, obviously, and Millipede, like Centipede, is essentially the sequel to that game. But there aren't a lot of trackball games. So I'm sure Atari didn't have a huge incentive to make other games compatible with trackball. But that's too bad, because the trackball is actually awesome. The CX80 trackball is really cool. It has a very, smooth roll. You can spin it. The buttons on top here are very, there's one on each side for left or right-handed. It's nice. It's a very nice trackball. Feels good to use it. So it's too bad that there weren't more trackball games that were created to use its kind of native functionality. That being said, Missile Command with the trackball is awesome. I was playing this after I got the trackball, and I wouldn't call it a brand new game, but it totally opens it up, and it makes it a lot more interesting. The challenge is different. Feels more like, I'm sure, what was great about the arcade game using the trackball. So there's some things about the Atari 8-bit port that are not quite the same as the arcade. In the arcade, you had 3 missile silos, and you used 3 different buttons to launch missiles from them. In the computer game, you have just the one silo in the middle that represents all 3 of them, basically. And you can lose a silo and still have more missiles, even if it gets blown up, even though it's always in the center. So, and I would argue that the computer version is while pretty good representation of the arcade game. That change makes it a lot, easier to manage than the arcade game version. So, Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time rattling on about trackball and missile command. I don't know what my high score is on this necessarily, but I feel like I'm getting a better score playing with the trackball. So I'm not sure what the world record is either. I'll have to look that up some other time. I don't know if it matters if you play it with the trackball compared to the joystick. I'm sure it must, because the trackball is a very different experience. I wonder if it's, designated differently what the high score is if you use a trackball or the joystick. I don't know. So anyway, let's get started with some missile command using the CX80 Trak-ball. Now, I was going to try to put the camera on this while I use it, but it's just too fiddly for my rig to change around the cameras. So I'm going to leave it the way it is. You'll be able to see the cursor zip around the screen with the trackball, and I might demonstrate it, after we play some games. But anyway, let me go ahead and press start, and we'll play some missile command with the trackball. One thing of note. Uh-oh. There we go. I need to turn it up a little bit. See, being able to zip the cursor around like that is something you can't do with the joystick. I'm so used to playing this with the joystick that it's weird playing it with the trackball. It feels a lot better, but it's just I'm not used to it. Let me turn it up a little bit. That's better. Ugh. Did I actually lose that city? No. Oh, I missed that satellite. That's lousy. Now, the premise of Missile Command is a little bit dark. I'm kind of preventing nuclear destruction here, but it's a really great game. Ugh. Smart bombs. I'm out of missiles. Terrible. Yeah, I got a little greedy there. Bummer. I love the little chime that makes when you get a new city. Ah. You're going to lose cities. Definitely don't want to lose your main missile base. Ever. because you lose ammo, and that's terrible. And once you've lost cities, you can kind of protect them easier. So, in a way, it's a mixed blessing to lose cities. It'll let you play longer. It's bad. Hopefully we'll get a bonus city here, otherwise I'm dead. I should get one at 30,000. And I did. Okay, I got one city now. Oh, it is bright. It's hard to see even on my television. So I gotta protect this one city at all costs. I think I just lost. Yeah. 38,000. So that was a good warm-up round. I don't know what the ceiling is for my score. 38,000 feels sort of like what I normally get. Let's see if I can start it with the fire button. No. Okay. I'm going to raise the volume just a little bit more again because it seems a little quiet. All right. Let's get this started. Thankfully, it's slow to start. The 2600 port of this game is actually pretty good. Again, doesn't use a trackball natively, but it's actually a very good port of this game. And I think that's probably what most people remember playing is the 2600 version. Of course, unless of course you're the, an 8-bit Atari computer person, like we were. But I remember playing the 2600 port at a family friend's house and thinking, well, this looks a little different. Not sort of realizing the limitations of the 2600, but it was still really good. A big burv. Oh, that's bad. You can definitely really get hammered if you focus too much on the smart missiles. Those are the ones that make the little chirping noise. Yikes. See, it's easier to keep them protected if they're kind of bunched up on the side or something, or near each other. definitely some strategy. On, you know, what you want to try to protect and manage. Dang it. Oh, no. 6 times points. Oh, no. Well, we are going to get a bonus city, so we're not quite dead. Not quite dead. Oh, no! Well, we got 600 points more. I guess it's a slight improvement. All right, we got a goal. Let's see if we can break 40,000. What I'd like to do is get some kind of substantial score, like 50, 60, 70, 80, 100,000. I have no idea what a really good score on this is. But let's try this again. Be nice if you could start it with the joystick. Maybe we have to build a big score early. No, you can't because the bonus isn't very good. That wasn't good. Crud. The way you get this to play in the native trackball mode is to press Control-T once the game is started, which I don't think is actually common knowledge. There's that city. Having them right by my base there is better. Please be next to me. All right. It's not terrible. Oh, no. Ah. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, no, 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 no. All right, well, we saved the city. They're coming. No. The end. Well, we got 39,000. We're going up 1,000 at a time. Ugh. It gets so hard. The smart missiles. All right. We can do this. 40,000. Getting close. I think if I hadn't lost a couple cities a little earlier, I would have broke it. That was pretty good. Lost one. much bigger bonus if you can save all the cities, but it gets very difficult. Definitely get more precise control on killing this 40,000, killing the smart missiles with the trackball. Oh, man. Out of missiles. But we're doing a lot better. Let's see if we can break 50K. Oh no. Well, we're going to have to break 50K now to survive. Out of missiles. But we got a bonus city. We're going to live a little longer. Yeah, live stream. Yeah. Yeah. If only it was this easy for them. Well, we got 60K. Gonna get that bonus city. $63,000. Yeah, I was saying earlier how I think a lot of people remember the 26... Oh, no! The 2600 version. Nope. 68,000. Well, that's our new high score. Yeah, like I was saying, the 2600 version is actually pretty good. It's a good port of the game, and you know, I think a lot of people played it and really enjoyed it, and I did. I have too. I've played it. I don't think I've played it on stream, but I've definitely played it a bit recently. I don't think we had the 2600 version when I was a kid, but I've bought it since and really liked it. It's considered a pretty good port on the 2600. We had the 8-bit version, which is what I'm playing right now. And it's very good. Like I said, the differences, you know, from the arcade is that you have this sort of central missile silo, and it actually represents all three of them. So if you lose one, you still have a couple more. And the missiles always come from the center, which is a little bit kind of a mixed bag. You know, in the arcade, you can kind of fire missiles that are closer to other missiles with the 3 buttons, and you don't really get that here. But I will say this. The trackball has made this much better. I don't recall ever getting this good of a score with the joystick. Oh yeah, yeah. The everything was. I mean, for as much as people complain about video games being expensive, you know, buying one cartridge for the 8-bit or even the 2600 would be $50-$60, and in early 80s, 1981 dollars, that was like $200. Outrageous. So you better enjoy the ones you owned, you know, like that's what you had. And we had a fairly sizable collection of Atari 8-bit games. My dad loved computers and loved video games and stuff, and so we had a good selection of stuff, including Missile Command. So, all right, 68, almost 69,000 is our new ceiling. I feel pretty good about that score. That might be the highest I can recall ever getting. Let's see if we can get 70K. The trackball. Definitely got a lot more points by having the cities last longer. It was a big bonus. Get a few more points if you can get the missiles to merve into a spray like that. You can get a few more points, but it's probably not worth waiting to have them do that because it's pretty dangerous. Also, in the 2600 version, you don't have the missile streaks streaking out from this missile silo. Just kind of float up into the air, which is fine. You still have the streaks from the missiles coming down. But it's a nice touch for the 8-bit computer version. Yeah, I never had the trackball either. This is new for me. We always used the joystick. And it's significantly better, in my opinion, with the trackball. In fact, so much so that it's really fun. It's really fun to play. I don't know. Maybe this has an actual native trackball mode and a joystick mode, and I think like the Wico trackball that's for the Atari as well only runs in joystick mode. Doesn't have a native trackball mode. The electronics are different. It requires some computing to process the input from the trackball. That's what I've read. Crud. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Crud. I lost a city. Oh well. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big advantage over the regular joystick. The joystick mode version, though, I don't think... I've tried that with the 2600 Missile Command, and it's not great. It's basically sort of a kludgy joystick controller at that point. It's not nearly as fast. I mean, you can zip... Look how fast you can zip this around like with the trackball. You can't do that in joystick mode. It doesn't work. much easier to hit the smart missiles with the trackball. Like, worlds easier to time it. Oh man, I just lost everything. We can get a bonus. We got a bonus. Alright, we're gonna have one city here. Gotta protect the one city. Yeah. The timing on the smart missiles, man, it's like night and day. 60,000, we're getting another bonus city. We're gonna need it. Come on. Alright. Well. Let's see if we can break that 68,000. Oh no! Gotta get the bonus. Nope. Yeah, I mean, Atari 800 is really amazing for a late 70s computer, the graphics in particular. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've heard that from Commodore 64 people, that, you know, it's easier to do graphics on the Commodore 64. I don't know. I never had a Commodore 64 when I was a kid. I had a neighbor that had one. The Atari 800 and the Commodore 64 seemed comparable at the time, in terms of what, you know, graphics looked like, but I do remember there were some more titles available on the Commodore 64. I remember there was a G.I. Joe game that they had that was like mind-blowing to me. But the Atari 8-bit line is really kind of amazingly good in terms of its capability for sound and graphics, and was the predecessor to the Amiga, which is interesting. That's a weird bit of history, how the people who made the 8-bit, Jay Miner and those guys, went on to make the Amiga, which then became a Commodore product. And the owner of Commodore, Jack Tramiel, became the owner of Atari. So they kind of switched places, which is really weird. But, you know, for what they were doing, the Atari 800 is just remarkable for 1977, 78 tech. And it endured for a long time. My Atari 130XE was released in 1985. Backflips to get enough colors? Crazy things? Well, I have heard that from Atari people about Commodore. So I don't know. I'm not a programmer. But my understanding is that, you know, there are things about the 8-bit that are superior to the Commodore 64 in terms of its capability, but there are things about the Commodore 64 that are superior to the 8-bit. I think the memory management is better on the Commodore, or on the Atari, but I'm not so sure about the Commodore. I think the Commodore has sort of more limitations. Yeah. But, you know, I don't want to get into it with Commodore people or Atari people necessarily. I just want to blow up some missiles. All right, let's see if we can break that 70K. I don't know if this supported the Commodore 64 or not. I bet it was. It may have been called something else, though. I don't know. Oh. Yeah, it's an Atari-branded game. It's owned by Atari. So there may have been a port that was called something else, because Atari probably wouldn't want to have had one of its own titles on the Commodore. I don't know. Same thing with, like, Asteroids. This is an Atari-owned title. Yeah, the 8-bit box art is just something else. They made a book not that long ago that was a celebration kind of Atari game box art. And it's funny how iconic and beautiful some of that artwork is. It's so much better than the actual game. But, you know, it's supposed to be evocative of the game itself, which it did a great job. And certainly Missile Command is no exception. Oh boy. See, right there, I would not have been able to do that with a joystick. Trackball let me do all that stuff. Oh, I really hate smart bombs. That's probably right. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a programmer of the 8-bit line. But the Atari actually is capable of quite a lot of colors. I've seen some amazing graphics on the 8-bit. Man. The bonus city. Gonna have to give up on some of those cities. Oh yeah. The Atari, they had Ultima 4 and Ultima 5. Or actually, Ultima 4 and Ultima 3 are on the Atari 8-bit. But not Ultima 5. And Ultima 4 and Ultima 3 are a couple of my favorite games ever. Oh yeah, Ultima 5, yeah. Yeah, it's too bad. Ah. No. Oh no. Yeah, there's an interesting transition between the old guard of computer games and the new guard of PC gaming right around Ultima 5 and Ultima 6. Because I got Ultima 6 on the PC. Was one of our first big VGA PC games. It just looked gorgeous in terms of just color VGA. And I remember seeing it for sale and being like, there's Ultima 6? What? You know, and by then, the Atari ST, you know, had become antiquated. Even though it had great capability for sound and graphics, we're gonna have to make it with just this bonus city here. Oh yeah, huge leaps in look how far away that thing is. I'm gonna lose. That was a bad place for bonus city. I guess 68,000 is our ceiling. Man. Yeah, that was brutal. Having the bonus city all the way over on the side like that was not good. If it had been closer to the missile silo, maybe. But man, things are just so fast with the guided missiles there and the MIRV bombs. Ugh. All right. Well, let's keep going. I want to break 70K. We're gonna do this. This has been great with the trackball, by the way. I know that these are kind of not cheap, but I got this for like I think 40 shipped, and it's in perfect condition. And if you have an Atari 8-bit and you like Missile Command, man, this is the way to play this game. It is so much more fun with the trackball. And more precise. The smart missiles are easier to take out, and it's challenging as ever, but it's just great. I love this. This is really fun with the trackball. I'm curious to go back and try it with the joystick and see how well I can do with the joystick. But I bet I can tell right now it would be maybe like 24,000 or something. I feel like that's what I was getting with the joystick. So I'm like tripling my score with the trackball, and it's just so much more fun. And this is how it's supposed to be played. It was how it was in the arcade. So I remember as a kid the end screen with the explosions was sort of fun. Oh yeah. You have to keep your eyes out on eBay. I got this on eBay, but it was marked as untested. So I got it for probably a little less. Just have to keep your eyes out for a deal. I was looking around at used game stores on vacation and stuff to see if anybody had the CX80 Trak-ball. And no one did. Try to buy from a game store if I can. Don't always want to buy from the old eBay. Certainly not these days either, with all the fees and everything. But, you get what you can. It's too bad that it wasn't supported for more games. I mean, it has the joystick mode, but it's really not comparable to the native trackball mode. I'm going to lose that city. But we're going to get a bonus. Yeah, you need controllers, I think in part because people didn't buy a lot of them. They're kind of expensive. I guess it depends on what it is. Because, like, the NES sports pad or whatever that you use for, like, track and field, I don't think people love that thing. Giant floor pad. I remember seeing it at a friend's house, and they just pounded their hands on the floor for running instead of actually running in place. Yeah, you know, the cross compatibility of Sega controllers with the Atari is cool. I use a Genesis controller with the 2600 on some games because it's just it's essentially a D-pad, and it's nice. Yeah, the floor pad is miserable, absolutely miserable. Yeah, I've heard that too. I've heard that you can short out the power. It can cause a surge of some kind. Ah, smart bombs. Dang it. Yeah, I don't know if it'll affect the Atari that way necessarily. I have heard that it can damage it. That felt pretty good. Oh yeah. Those early days of computing though, it's amazing that we got what we got. I don't even know like how people used the ZenX Spectrum, which was really popular in Europe. It just seems like such a primitive machine, but they were able to get games on that thing. Oh, this is bad. Terrible location for this city. Dang it! Well, we're gonna have the bonus. $60,000. All right, let's see if we can break 68. Come on! Oh, it's all the way in the corner. Miserable. No, 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 no! No! Well, we broke our score. Dang it! So close to the 70K that I wanted. I think that we had a decent number of Atari 800, but Atari 8-bit games, compared to a lot of people at the time, because my dad was really into computers, and we had some games that were copied from like CompuServe, which was sort of like a BBS system at the time. I'm not sure I would call them pirated, but we had some downloaded games that were on diskette. My dad got rid of our cassette drive as soon as he could. He hated that thing. So we had a disk drive early. We had the Atari 810 disk drive. And we had disc games and cartridge games. And we had a lot of games of different varieties through those early years. I have a lot of them back here. They're not my originals necessarily. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Some of them are ones I've picked up later that we had, like this game Shattered Alliance was a strategy game on diskette that my dad he would see it in the storefront. The electronics it was called Electronics Connection, which was like a games and computer store in Dayton, Ohio, and it was $80 at the time, and so he was like, "Oh, can I justify spending $80?" And this is like $1982. But he bought it. He bought it and played it. So he had strategy games, which were not cheap at that time. It might have been more than $88. I don't remember. He said it was, crazy expensive. Yeah, the cassette tape drive was all there was. And so many people have memories of using it, and that's because all there was. But my dad hated it because he would program a game from a magazine or something and make tape backup copies. He'd make like 3. And of course, it would take like 20, 30 minutes to write the game to the cassette tape. And then he'd come back, after the fact and try one copy of the tape drive and it wouldn't load. He'd try the second copy and it wouldn't load. Try the third copy and it wouldn't load. And of course, you'd have to wait like 20, 30 minutes each time for it to load. So, yeah. My dad was talking about it with him not that long ago and how I was sort of, we have it, the 410 tape recorder, tape cassette drive, the original one. And I was talking about trying to get it to work, and he's like, I can't even imagine messing around with that thing. He's like, I might try to drive a spike through it. I hate it so much. So yeah, we had the Atari 810 disk drive right away, which was not cheap. It was an expensive peripheral for the Atari, and kind of eliminated all the hassle of tape cassette games. But we still had the cassette drive, and there were still some games that were on there. My dad actually wrote and published a couple of games. He wrote a game called Triple Scribble Trap, which is sort of like a Tron style light cycle type game for 4 players, and had it published. Slinky. Yeah, right. That's a cassette tape for you. Yeah. Yeah, the cassette drive. No one knows the frustration of having games on cassette like people from this era of gaming know. All right, well, 69,000, almost broke 70K. That's pretty good. Certainly way better than any score I can remember of getting with using the joystick. And again, the Atari CX80 Trak-ball, really, really fun to play with. I may stream this with Trak-ball again. I'm also going to get a copy of Millipede that also supports the Trak-ball natively, and I'm excited to play that. I really like Millipede, actually. I think, some people consider Centipede maybe a superior game, but Millipede is really fast and frenetic. I like that. It's very challenging. So when we get Millipede, we'll probably stream that as well. Hopefully, I've heard that it's one of the 2 games that supports the Trak-ball, but we'll find out. I'd also like to maybe play some Missile Command on the 2600 with the joystick, but also with the trackpad in joystick mode, which I think is the only way it's supported. It's really not like this. You can't zip around. It doesn't have the speed that you have here because it's not native. It just basically kind of scrolls around the screen like a joystick would, just using the trackball. So it's essentially just sort of a tactile experience. It might give you a little more precision with smart bombs or something, but it, just like it did here with the smart bombs, you could kind of track them down a little bit easier. But I don't think it's anything like how this is here on this with native support. But anyway, thanks for watching some Missile Command on original hardware, and I hope you enjoyed seeing the trackball in action. We'll be back next week with some more retro video games on original hardware, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening.